Hello YouTube, Alan back with another video, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about the closing down of Prima Games. So, as some of you may have heard, the company that makes most video game guides, the physical guides, has announced that they're shutting down and going to be basically winding down over the next kind of 4 months or so. So, open stuff that they got in works, Smash Brothers, things like that, they're going to finish off, but basically it's the end of physical guides by and large. I tried to find a Prima guide. I didn't have one at hand. I had an old Nintendo Power guide here because I was thinking, well, it's not really surprising. It's always sad to hear when a company closes, especially if it's going to impact the staff. Now they're going to try and move them to perhaps other publishing because this is parent company DK publish lots of stuff. They actually publish all the Lego based books, so they'll probably be okay. They'll probably find some other work, but nevertheless, it is a sign of the times. It really is a sign of shifting requirements, shifting needs, shifting customer tastes. When I grew up, so I picked up this one here. Like I had this Zelda, this Zelda one. It used to be common. Well, we got some here. In fact, it was so common. Most games magazines would include them. So here's a bunch that just little pocket ones that came with games magazines. So, well, that's not a guide. N64 Compendium. So, N64 magazine used to do this kind of like double game guide plus, so you get two guides in one little handbook. And they're actually pretty solid for quick guides. So you see a bunch of them. And when I was actually replaying some of my N64 stuff, I actually found these quite useful to flick through. It was nice just to have something offline. Nintendo magazine as well, the official one, did similar type of stuff. They'd attach them on the front. You had guides in the magazine and you had sheets. That was just the way it was. That's where you got your information. There was really no internet. There was to a certain degree the early 2000s, like you would have the likes of GameFAQs would have started up, but people would have been getting a lot of this information when they were stuck in games. Either you phone a helpline or you hoped you had a guide, and that's where these came in. And it was so common to just have guides. And back then, like a good example, back in this one here, you have a sheet that basically tells you all the music tracks. So if you need a reference, there you have it. You would have like another perfect example is the fact that this one here has the bomber notebooks kind of laid out for all the side quests when you have to be at something, and you've got a visual representation. And they put in plenty of artwork too to make it appealing. They have nice printed maps showing you where things are and then talk you how to go through it. So it really did actually, if you were looking for something, it did help. And it definitely was like just part of gaming in the 90s that you might get stuff. Games were often very hard. There's this thing now where you complete basically every game that you get. Any new game, whatever the big hit is, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, whatever it might be, there is an expectation you will get to the end. It was not the case with older games, and it only started to become true later on. But even if you thought I can make it through this game, chances are most people would need a guide at some point because there was obtuse stuff that wouldn't have been clear. I mean, things like Castlevania 2 are notorious for these oblique clues that just, you really, chances of you figuring them out on your own are pretty low. And some would be cynical and say, haha, that was to sell the guide. So, if you can't complete the game without the guide, well, they get extra revenue. And maybe there's an element to that too. But as I said, there is a nostalgic component to it where you look back and go, oh, that was cool when you could get books like this that you could flick through. And as I said, recently I played some N64 stuff and I was like able to just pick one of these out. In fact, I was playing Body Harvest, and I could have sworn I had a double game guide for Body Harvest. And I went through my N64 mags and I just couldn't find it. And it turns out, no, I didn't have that one. I missed that one. I actually Googled, I said, well, how much is it on eBay to pick it up? And it was more than, frankly, it was worth it, given that, yes, I could just get the information online now. But it wouldn't have been as convenient. I would have had to refer to a phone or a tablet or whatever. I just thought, I can have this beside me, flick, oh, I'm on this page, and so on. There was that nice, convenient factor. And we talk about now things have transitioned online. And I remember GameFAQs kind of becoming popular, and the expectation that basically every game would have a guide on GameFAQs. And that has kind of come to pass by and large. Pretty much most stuff, you'll go to GameFAQs and they'll have either the cheats or they'll have a rough guide, if nothing else. But what's on GameFAQs is not the same as getting a guide like this. There are generally no maps or no kind of nicely laid out stuff. It's very textual, and people have tried to do more HTML guides and stuff, but it's not the same. At the end of the day, I guess the people kind of go, well, I will get the information I need, and it doesn't cost me anything, so that'll do. Of course, there's also video guides now. People do long plays and stuff like that of the whole game, and you can look through a video and see how to do whatever might be you're stuck on. They're good, they're very useful, but I actually still find a traditional guide can address some things that a video won't. So most of those videos won't have commentary, won't explain what they're doing. So it could be simple case you see someone executing something and you're like, how did they do that? I don't understand. Or also, if you do not execute it perfectly, like say it's a boss that you're taking on, and the boss starts to do an attack that wasn't shown in the video because you didn't execute it as they had, you'll be like, oh geez, I don't know what this phase of this attack is. Like say for example, a game like Final Fantasy VII, if you have uber trained up your characters and you have like knighted around and you have a whole bunch of, I can't remember what it was, that basically would mirror the attack, so all your party just keep knighted around, you will just blitz through most people. Now let's say you don't have that, so if the guy just went through it knighted around and oh look at you know that just skill will land. But if you don't have that, if you haven't leveled up that that area, you haven't got all that materia, you're not going to be able to use that strategy. So that video is basically no good to you. At least in GamesFAQs, a lot of time they do talk, well, this might be the best way to do it, but here's an alternative, or here's what you might have to deal with. And that's, again, coming from the more traditional guide style of things, where they will kind of give you a breakdown of what the challenge is and how some ways to overcome it. So, as I said, it's an interesting change of an era, really a sign of the times. Now, personally, I haven't bought a game guide in ages. I honestly can't think of when the last one I was. Actually, no, I usually buy them when they're reduced. To be honest, that's when I pick them up when they're pretty cheap. Just it's almost collectibles as much at that point. And as I said, I had some lying around, but I couldn't find Prima guide, which is unfortunate given that was the kind of the topical point, was Prima closing down. So maybe we'll see someone crop up and do some more independent stuff. But to be honest, I don't think so. I think we're past it now. I think this is the end of an era, in the same way that manuals basically don't come in game boxes anymore. Games are moving more and more into the digital realm, and to a degree, you just got to accept it that you might get the limited collectors stuff, but really it's just one more kind of nail in the coffin of the physical commodity. So yeah, a bit of a bummer to leave a video on. But anyway, what's your thoughts on game guides? Are you sad to see Prima going? Did you miss Nintendo Power Guides and stuff like that? Let me know below. Anyway, talk to you again soon. Bye for now.